Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Indie Showcase. I am your wonderful host this evening, where we are going to be playing a game called Descent into Midnight. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you a little bit about what Roll20 has been doing with their charity program called Code 2040. Code 2040 helps create equal opportunities for Black and Latina communities so we can actually have equality in the tech industry. It's kind of cool. You should look it up. I'm sure my mod will post it in chat. There are some wonderful unlocks that you can get with that as well. One of them being a Roll20 D20 plush dice, but you'll have to ask if that's still available because it's really cute. Otherwise, it's going for a good cause, and that's all that we can really ask. But now, let me talk to you a little bit about what we are getting into. I am joined by a fantastic cast of human beings, and we're all here to play some weird water creatures solving mysteries in the deep, deep water. And to explain a little bit of that, Richard, can you first tell me what Descent into Midnight is?
Sure. Descent into Midnight is a powered by the apocalypse game where you take on the role of psionic alien sea creatures on another world who are acting as the guardians of your community and protecting it from an otherworldly corruption. So it's underwater, you've got superpowers, you've got a psionic link to each other, it's on an alien world, you want to mash up weird sea creatures, you want to bring in a mini Cthulhu, you can do that. And I think we are, in fact, going to see a little bit of both of those today. The game was designed by myself, Richard Kreutz-Landry, Taylor Labreche, and Rich Howard. You can find all of us on Twitter. Descent into Midnight is at DIMRPG on Twitter, and you will be able to find everything you need from there.
Excellent, thank you. Well, let's go around and introduce the humans as human beings first. So, Carnelian King, tell me about you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carnelian. You can find me on Twitter as mischief_nerd. I work as the Roll20 staff DM, so I run the games for all the staffs. And other than that, I am, I guess, really, really excited about this game because I like to crochet octopuses all of the time, so I think a lot about what goes on underneath the sea. Yeah, that's what I have.
I think that's fantastic. Also, if you want to give our mod one of the links to your crocheted octopus, I'm sure that's okay. I don't know. I'm taking liberties here. I have no idea if that's actually okay.
Yeah, I can drop it in the chat. It's octopuscircus.de.
Yeah, I love that. All right. LaTia, tell us about you as a human being.
Well, if I were a human being, I am LaTia Jaquise. I am the Community Relations Coordinator for Montica Games. I am a cast member of the D&D show Rivals of Waterdeep. I exist in many places doing many things. My hair is a source of my power. I've never cut it. And I'm just super happy to be here.
Is that a real true thing? You've never cut your hair?
I've never cut my hair. Well,
I mean, trim your edges, of course, but like...
No, not even. But like when I started growing this, it's been almost 10 years now, and I've never cut my hair.
Dang, LaTia, you and I are gonna have to have some hair talk because I've been cutting my own hair for 10 years.
I've been doing these myself for 10 years, and they're like 3.5 feet long.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
I'm so impressed and really jealous. Huh. All right. Well, while we're still talking about humans, Mark, tell us about your human accomplishments.
Oh, hello. I'm Mark Meir. I'm an actor. I play humans in video games. I also play aliens in video games. And I guess most predominantly the Mass Effect trilogy, which of course is coming out in a Legendary Edition rather soon. So I'm also a nerd who plays a lot of RPGs. And since all of this started, I found myself doing quite a bit of stuff on Twitch. So you can actually catch me on the Codename Entertainment Twitch with Christina Ariel doing improvised Champions of the Forgotten Realms every Monday afternoon. And I'm also part of the cast of Stitch of Fate, a podcast by night, which is a Vampire the Masquerade actual play that's available wherever you find podcasts on all the major platforms.
And if I could hype up your podcast for a second, I was talking with Little Red Dot recently, and she just went off on how amazing it was. So, like, it's a must listen. Y'all do fantastic work.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So, before I do get into it, Rich, did you have anything else you wanted to add to your wonderful self?
I mean, the question of what I do in my life is I procrastinate about finishing the book for this game, and then I get into writing the book for this game. We're actually almost at the 1-year anniversary of the Kickstarter, and we are this close to finishing the first full draft of the book. But aside from that, in my day job, I'm a software engineer who does basically math puzzles online for kids to learn math, which is super cool. That's what I get to do for my day job. Like, I went to school for teaching math, and then went through a whole process of other jobs, and then ended up at a software company teaching math to kids. So, you know, it's sometimes you just gotta go and see where life takes you, and you'll end up where you need to be.
I think I can confidently say we all have really cool heckin' jobs. And in today's society, that's not easy to say. So this is wonderful. All right. Well then, let me lead us in. So this is a game that we will be playing on Roll20, but as it is not a finished product just yet, we've made a couple of modifiers. And I think it's kind of cool to note that no matter what game you want to play, especially when everything is so dependent of being online and distant, right now, I'm going to show you a little ways to create your game without actually having any tools available. And that's really useful. So, we're just gonna get started over here. We've got some of the basic moves up. We have our characters, which we will get into in a moment. But most importantly, there was some discourse about this online today. Music in a game makes a game. There is the sound of water. It's really the only sound that most of you have ever known. It's that numbing cloud, head filled with clouds, head filled with cotton almost. Unhearable sound that you are just surrounded with at all times. The world in which you live in has existed like this for as long as you can remember. There was always just the tinkling of a whale song at the tip of the edges of your own hearing. You have all existed with this beautiful psionic whale sound. It has been a part of your lives forever. The world that you live in relies on the music of these whales in order to survive. The structure of your entire community is based on the music that keeps you all going. But suddenly, things have been getting quiet, and nobody knows why. So, let us start with a little bit of world building. Carnelian, what is one detail about the community you think fits your cultivator? What would make them want to live in this place?
So, I'd say Wake has been, normally was on like the edges of culture, but has been coming a little bit more towards the center because they have been developing these polyps. And these polyps have the ability for other people to sense music and sound visually. And so the polyps look like sea cucumbers that come off the side of people. And so the Wake is super excited about this new innovation because they would like other people to be able to see like the whale songs and like the echolocation of some creatures underwater in a new way.
When you're not out in the main Pharaoh Center, Pharaoh Throw, we'll say, maybe it's, well, I'll let somebody else decide exactly what that looks like. What do you look like in your day-to-day?
Okay, so the Wake of Stars is a nautilus. And a nautilus has a spiral shell with one eye in the center on both sides, and about 90 small little tentacles. But what's unique about Wake is that all of the little sections, you can see through it, like glass. And inside, there are individual, what looks like terrariums. And you can look in, and you can see a different part of the ocean. Like, some of it is a kelp forest. Some of it is completely dark, except for a few glowing bits. Another part is a coral reef. And it seems like there are things that are actively alive inside.
Could you give a name to anything that resides inside of you, and is it sentient?
Yes, of course. The Wake has a forest, has many forests inside that it reaches into sometimes and brings things out so that it can, like, bioengineer, summon enemies together. But it has a big responsibility to try to balance the ecosystems of all of these forests.
It's beautiful. Our muse. What does the world look like to you, and what makes you want to participate in this community?
Well, our muse is DJ Dr. Croctopus. The DJ does not stand for what you think it might, but he is still a muse. When you look at him, he's sort of a mustard gold octopus with these blue rings, but unlike a terrestrial octopus, he has sort of scaly, rough skin that looks a bit like a crocodile, maybe. He's got 8 arms and these blue rings. But when he spreads open all 8 of his arms, the sort of crocodilian hybrid doesn't stop at the texture of his skin. Instead of a beak that you might find on a terrestrial octopus, imagine, if you will, a crocodile's mouth, right? It's got a top, it's got a bottom. But this is an alien ocean. This is an alien world. And so for him, he's got 5 mouth parts that all interlock over each other. And so when he opens it up, it's a bit like the worst claw machine at a Denny's that you have ever seen in your life. So that's how he rolls, and this is just how his species is. But the thing that he loves about the city actually has to do with Wake of Stars. These polyps that allow the other inhabitants to see sound in a new way actually helps him, because his art form is making soundscapes. This song, this whale song that is traveling through the echo and has always been a part of the community, is something that's integral to his way of expressing himself. And so previously, his art had been shaping crystals that sort of resonated with these sounds that are coming through the echo and would light up a little bit. But with the biotechnology of these polyps that are like sea cucumbers that everybody can just sort of like plop on and wear now, it gives him access to explore new ways of amplifying this music into something that they can experience in a completely new way.
Dang, I love that. So you used to shape crystals, or do you still shape crystals?
I think he still does. I think there are, whatever the equivalent of, various town squares or monuments are, there are sort of these singing monuments that you can go to and listen to, almost like a radio tower, right? That also have this visual component where there are colors swirling around in it. But he's really excited about this new medium and being able to actually interface with creatures who are using Wake of Stars polyps.
love it. I'm honestly just picturing a bunch of people with really cool hats. Except
Mhm.
I don't know if they're that cool, but I would like to believe that they think they're cool. You know?
Well, sea cucumbers are rad because, like, I don't know if you've seen one eat, but like
No.
some of them they have like a little mouth and they have all these little tendrils on them. So you can imagine imagine a cucumber with like a bazillion little Cthulhu tentacles just like sort of sticking out of it, just plopped on your head, like little diode, like in a sci-fi movie where they attach all the little like things to your head to do the neural net kind of deal. Imagine that, but it's a living sea cucumber that's just sort of hanging out up there. Like that's how I'm picturing it. I don't know if
Oh, yeah. I think there are definitely like different kinds because some of them might be able to communicate the way that you're feeling. So, like some of them might have bioluminescence. Some of them might.
Oh yeah.
Only the fancy people get the bioluminescent one, but like.
I'm imagining it's like a trade economy. They trade the Wake of Stars, like some of their favorite songs, for them.
Oh yeah.
I love that. All right, Mark, tell me, why do you stay in this community that has been driven by a whale song? Everybody that lives there, one day or another, will wear a sea cucumber for fashion or for communication, and that has structures that have been crafted from vibrations and psionic powers.
Well, I'm playing Lou, spelled apostrophe L-U. And Lou looks a little something like this. Now, for those following at home, you may realize that Lou is in fact a star spawn of Cthulhu and is not native to this realm. In fact, his previous existence wasn't much of an existence at all. He didn't really have individual will. He was basically following the dictates of the great old ones, specifically Cthulhu. But through a happenstance, Lou found himself in this realm and cut off from the hive mind that he had known before. But what took its place was the soothing sounds of the whale song. And because of that, Lou was actually able to develop his own personality and turn his back on the chaos and destruction that had been his life before this. So he, although not native to this realm, feels a very deep connection to it. Of course, Lou does look like Cthulhu. Much smaller, teeny version, of course, but teeny is a relative term. So Lou is probably about 12 or 15 feet tall. That, of course, is mutable as well because the material that makes up Lou's body is of an extra-dimensional nature. It's not matter as we know it, even in this realm. But Lou feels very protective of his adopted home.
Is there a favorite spot within this community that you often find yourself?
Yes, Lou, because he feels protective of this community, often patrols its edges. No one's asked him to do this. He's just sort of taken it up by himself and wants to prevent anything from harming this community. And the absence of the whale song is actually affecting him very deeply.
Excellent. All right, last but not least, LaTia, tell me about your character and why this community? Why do you feel attached to it?
Felida Nadaria is a lion's mane jellyfish. She is about 7 or 8 feet long, giant, bulbous, jellyfish head the way jellyfish are, except there is actual hair, like an actual lion's mane, that is her bulbous body. She has approximately 116 tentacles. These lion's mane jellyfish are very large. And she is very curious about Lou. She lives on the fringes of the community in the vast emptiness where the whale song is really all she hears. And she's very familiar with the other creatures and denizens of this community, but every so often Lou will go patrolling by and she's never seen anything like it. And that's very curious. Even we are all very unique sea creatures, but there's nothing like Lou out here. And so, comfortable as she is, just on the edge, like just outside the community boundaries, she finds herself drifting a little closer and a little closer and a little closer. And she's grown quite fond of the community and really, really curious about what Lou is.
So, if there are no other creatures that look like you, can you give me a description of a creature that doesn't exist that might be the complete opposite of you?
Of me.
So, like, hairless, noodleless.
No, it's like a sphinx cat that is like a mercat.
Perfect.
So it's got.
Oh my gosh.
It's a sphinx cat. It's got normal cat front body, but it's got like a mertail essentially that it just kind of hangs out.
Scaled or like naked, like furless?
Like furless.
Furless. And Lou, I have a feeling you might be the only one that looks quite like you down here. Are there any denizens that you've interacted with that you find yourself impressed with?
DJ Dr. Croctopus, of course. There's an affinity there. I mean, all tentacled beings, I suppose there's a bit of an affinity, but certainly the...
Looking good.
Yeah. I would think the octopoid nature of DJ Dr. Croctopus probably called to Lou. And in fact, I think that DJ Dr. Croctopus might have been the first being that Lou encountered when he found himself here.
I love that. And I mean, especially because DJ Dr. Croctopus, his whole thing is using and amplifying the whale song in the same way that, like, Wake of Stars is doing that. So I can imagine, like, it's just, if you're going to be called to the city, right, what better place for you to be called to than one of these large monuments that is, broadcasting this song out into the universe, into the echo.
Excellent.
And I think, see if you agreed with me on this, that perhaps DJ Dr. Croctopus, because he was the first one to encounter Lou when he was still sort of in a very prototype form, he may be the only one who's really seen the sort of darkness that dwells within Lou.
I love that, yeah. Because one of the things that the Muse, their whole deal is sort of like seeing the truth in people, right? And using their art form to sort of express truths about the world. So I can definitely see, like, he sees this being come out of nowhere, which is not an uncommon thing in this setting, right? Things come in and out of the echo and whatever, but recognizing that this is someone who needs help to break those chains, right? And there's that moment when you pop into existence here where you have that crack in the armor of the connection back to the old ones and everything. And, like, I would love to at some point, like, if we were going to go and write fan fiction about this, that would be a cool moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I stand them. That was great. Well, I guess I do have a question for DJ Dr. Croctopus. Are there any denizens that you regularly interact with?
Oh, absolutely. So there are a species of spider crabs. I don't know if you've seen the memes going around of pictures of Bernie with the mittens being compared to various things for sizes. So one of the Deep Sea Explorer Twitter accounts did a whole thread of these, and Japanese spider crabs get huge. Like, they are massive, right? So I think instead of a Neko bus, right, which, you can't go wrong referencing Miyazaki. So instead of a cat bus here, we're going to have a spider crab bus, and they're a method of transit in the city where they actually do have, like, like a trailing spider web type thing that they extrude from behind them, and they go walking around the city. And if you want to hitch a ride, you just go and you bite onto the thread that it trails, and you just let it drag you around the city to wherever you're going. And there's complicated routes and everything. There's maps if you want to take the the red line to the blue line to the whole thing. So yeah, he actually likes to hang out with the spider crab buses to see what the denizens of the city are interested in musically, because hey, they're carrying people around all the time and they can hear the conversations going on, and so they just know what's up.
Okay, well, I'm in love with this bus/character now, so we have to give them a little bit more depth.
Okay.
Carnelian, can you tell me your all-time favorite octopus and or spider name? Because everybody possesses one of those.
Let's see. I would say Vincent Van Goggles.
Yeah. Perfect.
But I also was considering. So when these crab buses were originally being made, they had a little bit of trouble because they would sometimes get trapped between the rocks. So I'd like to say that maybe they came to the Wake of Stars, and the Wake of Stars gave them a little bit of this mucus lubricant. That's like created from these like weird sea slugs. So like they're able to use them to like get by really efficiently.
Mm-hmm. And I bet because nothing goes wasted, right? All the little like lubricant mucus is actually great for the bottom feeders, and so they just there's actually a whole ecosystem of things that will go after and trail after them and eat the mucus trail.
Let's find them too. Mark, do you have any names that you would give a creepy small fish that eats mucus?
Creepy small. I think Eugene.
Perfect.
Oh, I've got some great characters already. Okay, excellent. Do we think we need to add any other folks? Are we feeling that we've exhausted the weird denizens that you might come across, inhabit, have a conversation with, take a ride with?
Absolutely not. But if we kept going, we'd be here forever.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I've run entire con sessions where we get to the end of the 3-hour block and go, oh, we were supposed to do an adventure, but we were just coming up with cool restaurant names that were fish puns. So I hope everybody had a great time.
Don't tempt us. Do not tempt us. All right, excellent. So let me go over here. Sorry, my dog. Okay. The sun shines deep, 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 deep down so that it is only a glimmer from where you're able to look up. All around you are crystal edifices that have been crafted with music and vibrations. Your community is filled with a bunch of bottom feeders and polyps and crocodile octopi that just float, go about their business. Your community has been safe. It has been silently patrolled for such a long time that the people here, they've forgotten what it's like for chaos to fall down. And what would have been a morning when that one speck of light kind of shines down deep into your water, there is nothing. Your waters, your peoples, there's a chill that sinks into everybody's bones and skins and noodles and polyps. It is a chill like nobody has felt in such a long time. You feel vulnerable. You feel unsafe. And you all exist out here and as well in a space that is called your sanctuary. Rich, can you tell me a little bit about what the premise of the sanctuary is while I look for the document?
Yeah. So we've mentioned a little bit about these psionic powers that everyone has. They function through something that we call the echo. Mark's character is from an entirely different dimension, right? Beings come to this physical reality from other realities all the time, and that happens through the echo. Our characters are a group of guardians who protect the city. We are the best of the best. We are gifted psionically. And the other thing that we have is we have a strong psionic connection with each other. We share our thoughts and feelings and images at the speed of everything happening. We know what's happening with each other if we choose to share it. And because of that link, we have the sanctuary, which is a projection of our consciousness is all together in this mental space. It's almost like a pocket of the echo. If you were watching a superhero show and you had that episode where everybody goes into someone's brain with a psionic character and you're seeing all their memories and all these strange things happening, that's the sanctuary for us.
Now, we're going to open this up with the four of you inside of this sanctuary. And this is something that has been shaped by all of you. It is shaped by your feelings, by your powers, and by who you are. So we'll go in a reverse order and just give me a detail that defines this sanctuary and the darkness, the absence of light, the absence of sound that you feel. And we'll start with our awakened.
Okay, that's me. It is
What speaks to you?
the presence of the whale song to Felida has always been a sense of calm. But at this moment, with it being absent, it is almost like the waters are turbulent. There is an unease in the sanctuary.
Perfect. Lou, how do you feel inside of this space? The waters are no longer calm. What does this mean to you, and how does it take shape?
Lou is very disturbed by the absence of the whale song. The whale song essentially replaced the darkness that had been dwelling within him. And now that there's a vacuum there, he worries about what will take its place. Visually, for the others, this actually manifests itself. They can see that in the shadows of the sanctuary, things seem to be moving. Strange shapes. It seems like on occasion eyes seem to open in the darkness and then blink shut again. But if you try to focus on it, it doesn't. You can't make it resolve within your field of vision. But when at the corner of your field of vision, that's when you start to see it. And it seems to be centered around Lou.
Ooh.
DJ Dr. Croctopus.
Well, normally in the sanctuary, the vision that you have of DJ Dr. Croctopus and his mental state is a sort of spherical version of those sculptures that you see within the city. It's a crystal sphere with swirling lights and sounds coming from it. He doesn't really have a physical presence, he just is that thing. But with the sort of collapse of the whale song, I think you actually see his form. Like his self-image has become his body as opposed to his art. And the blue rings that are sort of emblazoned on his skin are usually like a medium blue kind of neon-y color. They're bright, but they're not spreading light everywhere. And what you see him doing in this mental space is putting all of his energy into projecting light from those rings on his mental image of himself to drive away the shadows that he sees around Lou, because he's afraid of what will happen if the shadows overtake him.
That's so tormented. Like, my heart for Lou. Please, no more darkness. Oh, heck. All right, well then, last but not least, our wake of stars. How do they manifest? How do they represent themselves? And how do they feel now that the whale song is gone in the space that was once safe?
Well, while the ocean usually feels vast, you all are able to perceive a very dense and very thick kelp forest. And the feeling of the waves hitting against it and like moving your forms into it. And instead of being able to like swim in any direction, it's like feeling a little bit trapped. And this is the project that the Wake has been working on, imbuing these kelp forests with these songs. But now you can sometimes hear the waves, but otherwise there's this emptiness. And so while your eyes might be seeing these creepy, like, tentacles or eyes out of the corner of your vision, your bodies and your ears are a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, like overstimulated. Perfect. This place is no longer the same sanctuary that you had even visited a week ago. This place feels unwelcome, unsafe, and those eyes will not stop watching. What would you all like to do in here?
I mean, besides cry?
Yeah. That's step one. Step two.
I would like to try to nurture the others. I think I'd like to get out a specific type of cucumber and see if anyone like is actively hurt. So, like, reach out to them with my mind and like where are your wounds? Kind of question. Like, maybe this is happening because someone is wounded.
I like that.
I imagine that I have this cucumber that can like vomit stem cells to like heal parts of them. If they like lose something.
Felida is going to sort of project this feeling of hale and hardiness physically, but like as you kind of look through or look deeper into it, like she kind of like looks deeper into that feeling, there's a pain there, but she cannot locate it. Like the sense that, yes, I am wounded, but not in my body.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think also for DJ Dr. Croctopus, like, he's feeling an emptiness that he has never felt. I think he grew up in the area, and so, like, I'm sure all of us as creative people have had that moment where suddenly you just feel like you have nothing left to draw upon, and the hollowness of that, and feeling like, am I going to be able to do what I have committed to doing, and what I have, what I love to do, without the drive and the sort of reservoir that I draw upon, is really kind of shaking him up. I think, again, it's not a physical thing, but you can see, Wake of Stars, like, first of all, again, he's never appeared as his own, in his own body in this space, and you see him with all of his 8 legs sort of like closed down and streamlined around the beak-like projections, to where he's just like one long shape, just sitting essentially motionless, and trying to project that light outward, and the sensation that I think you get is sort of like just something like a rock in your stomach, right? Where if you've ever said something or done something that you knew was going to change your life for the worse, like, that's the feeling that he's feeling right now. So if there's, if there's something that you can do to help that feeling physically for him, I think he will accept it, but that's where his head is at right now.
So, I think the Wake of Stars would like to offer DJ Dr. Croctopus some sort of distraction.
Okay.
Also, maybe for Felida, they manifest an enemy that kind of glows, so the space is maybe a little bit less dark, and it kind of looks like it flips upside down, so it kind of looks like Felida's mane in a small form. They try to do this because they don't entirely know how to like nurture this kind of pain, but they think maybe if this distracts, it could be something.
As you go to try and soothe the physical and the emotional wounds of your allies, there is a crash in your real world. The waters rumble. Your entire being vibrates with the crash and the shake of all of this. It pulls you all out of the sanctuary and back into reality, where I think for one reason or another, all of you have been... Do you all live near, like, whatever we'll call the main community hub? This is just detail flare, but...
I don't live there, but I frequent.
Okay.
I would say Lou lives in the equivalent of a shack on the edge of town.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'd like to be in some sort of like public garden, with like some sort of safe place that I can access other gardens.
And DJ Dr. Croctopus, I think, has sort of he tends to wander when he's in the sanctuary, because the city is generally a pretty relatively safe place for him to just wander mindlessly. And I think he has found himself near Lou, so not too far away, just sort of subconsciously.
Lou, at this point, actually turns to DJ Dr. Croctopus and sort of leans in and just says,
Doctor, where is the song?
And as he says this, you actually get flashes of something you've never seen before. You think it might be a city, but the geometry is wrong. One might say non-Euclidean.
Okay, so I think in that moment, like, you see the the blue rings on his body sort of flash bright in surprise, and you see his arms open up to reveal the mouth sort of like agape. So there are these 5, mouth sections there with all these nasty overlapping teeth, and he just goes, "Oh, what was that? Was that the call? Was that the call of who you were before?"
I feel Rillier. I feel its return. The song must be restored.
And so I think he starts to recover a little bit and sends out a message through the psionic link that we need to fix this now. Lou is not going to be okay. And there is a corruption over the horizon of the Echo that we cannot allow to approach. And so you all receive that message, and then he starts looking around, realizing that, wait, something happened in the physical world.
I think Felida has borne the brunt of the bulk of what has happened. Let me get the names again. Vincent Van Goggles.
Oh, yay.
Has been crashing around town. They are throwing themselves into rock formations, into kelp forests, into crystal abodes. They are not themselves. There were a few people that tried to take control of him by pulling on the little spiderwebs out of his butt, but this is what he does for a living. He is strong, and he is just pulling half of the town. They're all holding on to the end of his little spider butt. Nobody is getting to where they have to go because Eugene has lost his mind right now. And Felida, your house was the first to be destroyed.
Gosh darn it. I think Felida, first thing, Felida is going to follow. She's going to try and get ahead of Vincent Van Goggles. And she's going to, spread all approximately 116 of her tentacles. She's going to become a big old jellyfish blanket. And she's going to engulf him. And jellyfish normally sting, but she has the ability to kind of manipulate what comes through her tentacles. So instead of a stinging sensation, he's going to feel something that is calming, that is, hey, relax, my friend. I need you to relax. What is going on?
First, do we think you're doing something wondrous, or do we think that you're defending those poor stragglers? It's just like a bunch of bottom feeder fish, screaming as they're being pulled around, knocked from rock to rock.
I'm gonna say that this is defending.
Perfect. All right, so that is an altruism roll.
Okay, let me check my altruism. Neat. Okay. I've got so many tabs open. Hold on. Where's Roll20? There it is.
Yeah, it looks like you're at a +1.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's an 11.
Oof, that is fantastic.
There we go.
So when you risk your own safety to protect another, they're safe, and you can also choose another from the option, and it's you take the hit, or on a 10+, choose one.
Okay, I only choose one.
You only have to choose one consequence. Yep.
Oh, I love that there's still a consequence. Yo.
Yeah. I'm going to take the hit.
Oof. Okay. So, I imagine you've enveloped yourself around this ginormous spider bus named Eugene Van Goggles, and you've had a decent conversation with him here and there. You know how he works. He's normally a very level-headed individual, but this doesn't feel right. And while you've tried to kind of wrap yourself in a safe, hugging way, he is still thrashing and throwing himself back and forth. He bashes you up against a building, and it hurts a little bit, but your voice cuts through to him. What? This doesn't feel right. This doesn't work right. I can't do my job. I can't scutter across the water. It's so quiet. I can't focus. Felida, what is happening?
I do not know, my friend, but what I do know is that we're going to get to the bottom of it. Think of the people that rely on you.
Everybody relies on me. I am the main source of transportation here, and I can't do my job.
Exactly. I don't know what is going on, my friend, but we're going to fix it.
You have to promise me. I can't stand the silence. I can't hear the waves. I only see shadows, and it doesn't feel right. Those people, they're not even on my web. They feel like they're spirits. And he's gonna, wave his whole body a little bit, and the poor people that were still, holding on. I imagine, the web is a little sticky. It's a bit of a process. So they fly up and down. No, they're just stuck. You hear the screams in the back.
Lou will actually step forward and sort of gently pluck a few people that are stuck to the web off so that they can scurry away if they wish.
How do you go about that with your... You have hands, right?
Oh yeah, he's basically humanoid.
Okay.
So he reaches forward, and so a big clawed hand comes in, and then sort of just using a pair of tweezers, so the talons on the end of the hands just sort of gently pinch and pull people off of the strand.
They are all very grateful, oh my, I thought it was going to be stuck there forever. Things have gotten really weird in the past 24 hours, and we don't know what to do. And without even, giving a proper thanks, they all swim away like a school of fish, and then you're all alone again.
I think DJ Dr. Croctopus is following you, and he's going to look around, and I don't think he sees Wake of Stars yet. And so he's immediately just where is Wake of Stars? I think he's starting to have that connection sort of blip out a little bit, where the connection to all of y'all is something that's just constant, right? It is kind of like the music, the whale song, and he's freaking out so much that he's starting to not be able to hold on to that connection to all of you, and so he's looking around panicked.
Wake of Stars, what have you been doing amidst the chaos, amidst the turmoil that you can not only feel in your brain cavity, but you can sense on so many different levels?
So the Wake of Stars for a moment had actually withdrawn back into back to their shell, because they were trying to reach somewhere in the kelp forest to grab a specific kind of polyp for Vincent Van Goggles, so that he would have something to listen to in the meantime. They were basically trying to find him a podcast, so that he could kill. And they had found something that they had recorded long ago, and it was the sound of waves hitting caves, and it wasn't the same as the whale song, but it was something. And so they had caught up to him and perhaps tried to just give this to him so he could calm down and resume his route. If that's all right.
Absolutely. The scene you stumble upon is as chaotic as previously discussed. You know, we've got Felida wrapped around Eugene. We've got the two, or I guess, DJ, yeah, you were trying to talk to Eugene a little bit and figure that out. So we've got the, I don't know how not to describe Lou except like Cthulhu-esque. Just like maybe a little cuter, like it inspires like 2% less fear. And then the DJ Doctor, as they surround this monstrous spider bus, and he's shaking a little bit. He still doesn't feel safe. Nothing feels right, and he doesn't know what to do. He's not as strong as all of you. He doesn't have access to the echo. So what would you like to say to him? Like, I can't do this. I can't work. This is unacceptable. It hurts my brain. It's too quiet.
I think what, so does the Wake of Stars, like, are they there?
Just now arriving,
okay.
But like
so
you are.
Okay, so like as you arrive, I think like he senses you again, and it's just like, okay, that's enough to get him sort of like looking around again at the actual situation around him, and I think he's actually going to swim in front of our Van Goggles friend here, and say, hey, we're here. Felida's here. Look at the rings, and going to start doing like a pulsing pattern with them, where it's like there's a bright light in one of them, and then it sort of like moves out in waves across his body, and like turns so that he's like looking up his body, because his eyes are on the side of his head. He's looking up at our crab friend, and then has all 8 of the arms fully extended, and the rings just light up near his head and then move down and out across his body. And I'd like to use Soothing Presence, which is...
Put that out for folks that might not be familiar.
Yeah. So through sound, scent, or movement, you are able to calm the creatures around you. Non-sapient creatures, you react positively to your presence. Eugene's sort of in the middle there. He's not quite got the same connection to the echo. For this, even aggressive, hungry, or defensive creatures will avoid you. So there's a little bit of a bending when it does. But when you do something wondrous to influence a creature, basically you can treat your result as 1 level higher. So do something wondrous, we said was...
That looks like a drive roll.
Yep, a drive, and I have a +0 drive, so it's going to be a flat 2d6. Let's see what happens. Go over to Roll20. And that's a 7.
Wow, one of those is a 1. Oof, friend.
The cool thing, though, about this move is that I can treat a 7 to 9 as a 10 plus. So I get the better result. So with Do Something Wondrous, my energy flows unimpeded, and I achieve my goal. End of discussion. It works. So I think, like, yeah, he's doing the thing where he's got the lights going, and I think all of the other player characters can feel through the connection that he feels so empty doing this, right? He's the performer on stage who is, putting on this face, this act, but there's nothing behind it, but he's good at it. And it's enough to pull his attention. And what happens with Mr. Van Goggles?
I think it acts like a hypnotic effect. I always imagine when fish kind of spot that one light, that bright light, especially as it moves back and forth. And this is a real life story, but if you've ever shined a laser pointer at a spider, 5 times out of 10 they will chase it. Maybe it's just Canadian spiders. I don't know. So it definitely acts like a cat and a laser pointer. Like they follow the light, and they're shaking up and down. They're moving a little bit with Felida on them. But you have entranced them, and they have your attention. And the panic it starts to soothe just a little, but that clenching anxiety is something that we can all still feel, and Eugene the most. This is okay. I can watch that. That looks nicely. Okay. And they're lulled temporarily.
I'd like to look around at Lou and Felida, and kind of like mentally pulse to them that I'm making something, but I need a little bit of time to finish it. So
I
do something about it. One moment.
I would like to use one of my playbook moves and give Eugene the old razzle dazzle.
Yeah, perfect.
Read that move out, please.
When I display a dazzling show, I get to roll plus my calm. On a 7+, all eyes are on me for the moment at least. On a 7+, pick 2. On a 10+, pick 3. So I have to roll plus my calm.
Yeah, I imagine like DJ Dr. Croctopus is starting to falter, and you can feel that happening. Like he's not going to be able to keep this up forever.
Exactly. Just to roll another 2d6 plus 1. 8.
Y'all with them wins. That is.
I know, 1 and a
success,
6. What is that? All right, so that is a 7, which means I get to pick 2 things. The things I can pick from are: you set up an opportunity for your allies, you expose a weakness or flaw, you hold their attention for some time, or you avoid drawing unwanted attention. So I'm going to choose to set up an opportunity for my ally, the Wake of Stars, to give them enough time to create what they need to do. And what I'm going to do to hold Eugene's attention is I'm going to pulse my tentacles the same way that DJ Dr. Croctopus is pulsing his lights. So it's like this binaural beats, calming, pulsing show thing. And I'm going to very slowly release Eugene at the same time, as I can tell he's starting to calm down a little bit.
I really enjoy the visual of that. There's like the pulsing of the light, the vibrations, and then just in the back, the far back of the bus, we've got Lou just like plucking fish off to make sure that they can escape the little web.
And I'm going to like catch the pulse, and I'm going to start complementing the pulse. So there'll be like DJ Dr. Croctopus will pulse, and then I'll pulse, and then like, I'll pulse like 23 of my tentacles, and then like 23 more of my tentacles, and it's just going to be this awesome show.
I love that. And I think that creates a +1 for the Wake of Stars. So what does it look like now? You've been greeted by this. They have the scene temporarily under control. Lou is doing damage control in the back. All of the citizens are safe. Your main transport for this entire community is finally calming down. That rampage of destruction has ceased, but there's still that edge that exists.
So you can see the Wake of Stars with their 90 tiny little tentacles. Underneath, they're doing something. And you can hear like little sounds of like organic noises. And then eventually you see what looks to be like a long worm with some like not sharp, but teeth at the end. And it's kind of glowing. And I'd like to use this playbook move called It Plugs In Where.
Do tell.
Yes. I'm going to use my personal energy and the living environment to form a psionic bioengineered tool. So I'm going to roll altruism.
Okay.
Which I think is going to be 2d6 plus 2, because I have a high altruism score.
Aw.
So I got an 8. And was there a modifier from what Felida did?
+1. It just makes it a 9, which is still a mixed success.
Okay, so that's all right. Okay, so I'd like for it to say the advice's effect is unstable. So what I wanted to do was to create a device that was going to allow for Van Goggles to have synesthesia. So that whenever Van Goggles saw some color, it would play an interesting and hopefully harmonic noise.
I love that.
Yeah, what actually happened unexpectedly? Or
I think you didn't realize, but Van Goggles is red-green colorblind. So there's a good portion of they can see blues pretty okay, you know, they can see yellows, but it's like you're listening to a track that's skipping a little bit,
Okay.
you know? Like, there's the audio, they can see the things, but like there's parts that are missing and there are parts that are muted. Does he have hands? Sure, he's got little crab arm spider legs. He kind of like pulls two of his little crabby hands up to his crab face. Spider face? You decide. This is okay. I feel like I'm missing, but I feel like I'm missing out on something, but I can hear, I can see. Did you all do this? Did you all help me like this?
I don't have a mouth, but I nod.
Thank you. I think I can go back to ferrying people around the waters, but I must ask you. And he grows very still and very serious. Please restore the whale song. Our way of life cannot continue without it. Our waters will be far too turbulent and dark, and there will be too many shapes that we cannot discern, and the silence and the emptiness will be too much to bear. And this is all I ask of you as guardians. I have ferried you around these waters for as long as I was alive, ever since I was a wee little spider crab. And if there is anything that you could do for me, please save everyone.
DJ Dr. Croctopus definitely gives like a pointed turn and looks at Lou.
Lou just leans in and goes,
It shall be so.
That never gets any less creepy.
I think all 8 of Eugene's eyes go wide a little bit. Okay. Thank you. I am very appreciative and very afraid. And they're gonna slowly try to extricate themselves from Felida.
I was blanket, now I am jellyfish.
I think I can go back to work, but even the citizens here are a little unnerved. Nobody has been able to do what they can. Have you seen the bottom feeders? They're not even eating anything. They're just napping down there.
We aren't entirely certain how this began. Do you have any ideas where we should start?
The bottom feeders. They know everything. They're on the belly of every fish, the head of every shark, the side of every whale. They know what everybody else should know.
We thank you. For your service and for your help.
well, in a normal setting, we'd probably go down to the docks and ask a few questions, but considering we're underwater, I'm not sure how we proceed.
I mean, anywhere you go is the docks, really.
That's true, really.
I mean, where's the good slime? That's the real question.
We could perhaps see about some of the coral. I bet some bottom feeders would be hanging out around there.
Oh, the Rainbow District, then.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just imagining there's a cool arch statue, crystal statue that the DJ Dr. Croctopus made, and it's right in the center of this cool neighborhood, and it's all these cool rainbow coral all over the place. So it's very
Is this the
bright.
work that you're most proud of?
I think it might be. Yeah, I think up until Wake of Stars, new developments, I think this was the crowning achievement of his work that he really loved. And it's got the best slime. Everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when bottom feeding is mentioned, as he does, you've been around Lou for a while, so you know that he does this whenever food is mentioned or anything like that. He just sort of loudly declares,
I do not require physical sustenance.
Thanks for that, Lou.
yeah, it's at this stage, it's because you all know him, it's sort of like, yeah, we know, Lou, we know.
Oh,
The Wake of Stars has absolutely tried to offer you food like several times and like doesn't quite get this. The fact that you don't need to eat is like, but don't you want to?
And Lou has been polite, like sometimes we'll take it and like put it into his orifice underneath the tentacles, but you have seen him then later just sort of take it out and try to hide it somewhere.
Hide it in a
and
pot
then
of
we
kelp
just
plant.
see some of the little bottom feeder fish come over like, ooh, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And thus we all survive.
Oh, that's
Amazing.
great. All right, so tell me how you'd like to get to the rainbow. Do we call it the Rainbow Market?
The Rainbow Reef.
Rainbow
The Rainbow Reef. There we go.
Ah!
Perfect. I mean, we know that the crabs are the best mode of transport around. I mean, we could see if Van Goggles is headed that direction.
Actually, Lou is probably big enough that Lou just sort of gestures and everyone gets aboard him, like between his wings or whatnot. And he does actually use his wings for propulsion underwater. So
Oh my gosh, yes.
he's probably fairly quick.
So,
Not agile, but he can get some speed going.
this is kind of a weird question, but the Wake of Stars can't really see. So, if they were grabbing onto you with a tentacle, what would you taste like? Not like a trying to eat you, but like a can't really see this large.
Actually, you would notice that Lou tastes a little different than in previous encounters. Lou tastes a little bit like madness.
Oh.
Lou is starting to taste like chaos and madness.
Like licorice?
Like licorice. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Well,
Black
the Wake of
licorice?
Stars is going to try to hold. Yeah. Well. Well, they are going to trust you, even though you're tasting like madness, and hold on, because normally they would kind of scoot backwards and not go very fast.
All right, Lou, could I get a roll with altruism? Or, excuse me, drive. Like, you using your wings in the water is relatively normal. However, you've got a couple other folks on top of you, so it might make this a little bit different than normal. So I just want to see how wonderful you can be at it.
So 2d6, yeah?
You got it, plus your drive.
Ooh,
Ooh.
How's that?
That's
3?
you got it.
That's
Number
great.
one.
amazing.
Wonderful.
What
is
do you-
it is.
Do you have anything to add to your drive?
I don't believe I do. No.
I mean, not enough.
I will
No,
make a
no,
difference.
certainly not enough. So this is clearly affecting Lou a lot more. He's trying to be helpful, but whatever is going on with him is clearly affecting him, especially when trying to take an altruistic action. So I'll let you determine what the result of this is.
Well, the nice thing is on a 6-, you do get to mark harmony. In this case, it actually makes sense because we're doing a group thing. We're going on a road trip. Well, let's find out.
Oh, heck.
Right?
Okay.
Give us the cost.
Well, this is what I need a refresher on. I mean, I know I have a cost in my brain. But so when you fail a roll, like many PBTA, when do you get to mark a condition?
So that's one of the. So I actually just wrote this section the other day. So the guide essentially has a menu of moves that they can use in reaction to things like a perfect opportunity, right? If something just arises where you go, yeah, obviously that should happen. If everyone's like, we don't know what we're supposed to do next, what should we do, guide? Or if someone rolls a 6-. So in this case, would be the perfect way to do it. You can just say, as the consequence for this, mark a condition. If you have one in mind, in particular that makes sense, you can say, mark this thing. Or you can just say, mark a condition, and then have the player choose how whatever happens makes them feel.
Question: would corruption come into it yet?
You can also assign corruption as another one of those GM moves. You can assign it directly to say, hey, mark a corruption as the corruption takes hold. You can also have somebody, what you describe in the narrative is, hey, you're suddenly exposed to a source of corruption. That could lead to a resist corruption roll. Or if you endure a bunch of trauma, you can have them roll endure. But in this case, I mean, we know there's some corruption happening here, so it might just be that there's a little bit leaking going on,
I think it might be apropos, yeah. And you're all in direct contact with Lou as
Yeah.
well, so, yeah.
Literally tasting you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think I've ever had a game where everyone was literally holding on to a source of corruption, but, I mean, we could have literally everybody mark a corruption here on their corruption track.
Oh boy.
Tastes like madness.
And for those playing at home, the way the corruption track works is it's essentially sort of like a bad XP system. Once you fill it up, instead of getting an advancement like you do with the Harmony track, you get a Harmony token, which we use with the community map for longer games, and basically something goes bad in the community. But the other thing it does is you unlock a corruption move. Now, your playbook has all these cool moves that let you do interesting things over and over and over again. But the corruption lets you do very powerful things with these unlocked corruption moves. And nothing bad happens when you use them. No.
Nah. It's totally fine.
So, so that's what's going on with that corruption track, is once that gets filled up, you advance, but not necessarily in a way that's great for everyone.
Mm-hmm. As I say, I can't think of anything more apropos considering the character I'm playing, so...
What does that look like then? Because you've embarked on this task to party bus, like you're bringing your friends over towards this place, and I imagine that oh gosh, names, stars, the Wake of Stars, like they latch on and they sample you, and it's like that moment where they're like, ah, crap, that's madness, and then what does that look like?
What does the
your madness, your corruption, how does that take place on you? Is there any visual identifiers? Can your allies who are also feeling this as it seeps into them, what is that like for them?
Actually, DJ Dr. Croctopus would have been the only one to see that. In this action figure of Lou that you see here, his eyes are glowing red. The rest of you have never seen that. Lou's eyes tend to glow with a soft white light.
Ooh.
So his eyes are now glowing red. Beyond that, where you've come into contact with Lou, bits of him seem to be adhering to you. Lou, of course, is not like a solid mass. And again, the matter he's made up of doesn't follow the same laws of physics as normal matter. It seems to be not sticking to you so much as permeating you. It's weird. It's just it's sort of trail when you pull your hand or tentacle or whatever you may have away from his skin. It seems to trail behind. Again, it's not like a physical thing so much as permeating your actual being.
Don't like that.
This is fine. Everything is fine.
Everything's fine.
We're fine.
We're fine.
Now, this corruption that you have all touched, you are all feeling, it is affecting you. Perhaps in a more minor way, but because this is a one-shot, I would love if you could all mark corruption and tell me a visual detail as to how it impacts you.
I mean...
No, I was gonna say, this permeation of corruption and madness and black licorice, Felida is normally a very transparent sort of coral color, and you see her bulb, the parts of it that are not covered in lion's mane hair, start to blacken. Like they become opaque, and the coral color kind of dims.
Like dead coral, or like when it's dying?
A little bit, yeah. Like it turns this kind of opaque, sickly gray color.
Oh, Felida. How about Dr. Croctopus?
I think for him, it's there's a couple. He's only using a couple of his arms to hold on, but you can see the color of those rings start to shift into purple on the edges for those arms, where it's that little bit of red and a little bit of blue mixing together, and I don't think it changes back. I think it just stays a little purple.
No! I love this. No!
Right? Wake of stars. You know, you have so few other senses, but you're also like wonderful in other ways. Why, oh my word, how does this affect you visually or internally?
So, I think that the Wake of Stars says, we would like to take a sample. And then when they let go of, like, Lou with one of their tentacles, they, like, let one of their tentacles fall off into a test tube. And then they take another one and reach it into one of their pocket dimensions in their shell. And then what happens is, it seems like this is like a dimension of like, I guess, like the depths of the sea. And what's weird as you see the spiral of all of the Wake of Stars, like little dimensions, and they seem to like flash and go out of order, and like it's glitching. Like it's not a actual thing inside, but a screen. And then it just goes back to normal. But the darkest part seems really dark now, and you're not sure if it was that dark before. Actually, before you saw like little luminescent pieces to it. Now there's like maybe a test tube with a corrupted tentacle down there.
And we know just because of the way that your like garden works that that's someplace on this planet, right?
Oh yeah.
Or maybe is it? Do you have like pieces of the garden in other realities, or is it all in this physical world? Just separate?
Yeah, the Wake of Stars is actually like, although they are pocket dimensions, they are all on this realm, at least the way I.
So somewhere there's a little floating test tube that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's looking rough. Oof. I love the idea that as Lou is guiding you through the waters as fast as he is possibly able, there is this transformation that we can witness on all of our denizens, on these guardians, on these individuals that that the citizens have trusted with their lives. And Lou is able to lead you to the rainbow coral, and it's not as rainbow as it used to be. I think there was an archway that would greet you. Probably the muse might have had something to make it, and I just because it's dorky and I love it, but I want it to actually be a rainbow, just like carved out of crystal that like resonates different colors in the water as the waves kind of like move it around. And all around this little community was a wall of coral, but it's looking a little bit like Felida. It's not that same bright, healthy color that it really, really should be. And inside of my brain stopped again. What did we call the place? The Rainbow
Reef.
Rainbow Reef. Inside the Rainbow Reef, you hear shouting, arguing, screaming. If glass could break underwater and you can hear a meow and a dumpster fall over, you would absolutely be listening to that. And it just sounds like pure chaos in here. There's no more harmony left.
So I think before following those voices, the Wake of Stars has to go check on this coral. because they are extremely worried about its condition because they know that this coral often like filters out carbon dioxide from the water so people can like swim around. So they are trying to like, I guess, nurture it and try to heal it.
Absolutely. I believe you can, if you don't have a specific move, you can salve wounds. I know traditionally that is for other PCs. However, maybe do something
Living things are
wondrous.
NPCs. Yeah.
Really?
I can normally I can spend downtime tending a garden, and I did pick coral reef as one of my gardens, but I don't know that this is downtime, and I want to do it quickly. I don't want it to actually take.
You know, we've run into that a couple of times in play, and you know what? It's really cool for the story. So that's the rule: is do the thing that's cool.
Rule of cool.
Yes.
Go for it. Yeah. Let's see how you do.
Okay, I'm rolling 2, and then this is +2, so it becomes an 8. And normally it says on a 7+, your garden thrives and you gain 3 growth. Oh no, it's not on a 10 plus. Okay, that is what it is.
Yep. And the way that this is normally sort of set up is to give you some currency to spend to basically help other people with their roles. But I think narratively it makes sense that you did well tending this particular garden, and the sort of good positive energy that you're creating in the space is the thing that lets you then have that currency. So you've now got 3 little +1 tokens that you can hand out by saying, hey, the thing that you did with your garden, if you can explain how that helps, do it.
Maybe I take a little piece and put it on top of my shell, so I can grow it in an active way, and so maybe I can give it away sometime later if I want to bioengineer it to do something new.
I guess the only thing I need to properly visualize is when you all arrive and you go out to properly examine the coral and the Wake of Stars, what do you do to heal it? What is your act?
Okay, so I have some of this leftover slug stuff that kind of greased the Vincent Van Goggles way back when. And so what I'd like to do is, what's maybe one of the things that's been wrong with this coral is that it's not being able to process the type of carbon dioxide out of the water. So I try to I use some of my my tentacles to make sure that it's able to get water properly moving through it. Maybe I ask Lou and Felida to help clear some of the rocks away so that the water will be able to move through it.
Can I aid this by acting as a team?
Heck yeah. I'm wondering if narratively, Rich, do we think we can make something where we can, if it's a success, a couple +1 forwards?
Yeah, so the way that Act as a Team works is essentially when you get together to take on a challenge, as a team, you make this roll to build up a pool of aid that is essentially little +1 tokens that you can use to add to each other's rolls. In this case, this is actually one where instead of rolling for the result with a specific stat, it's going to be based on some questions. So I don't know if you've got that up, B, or I can run it if you want.
Go for it. I like this.
Okay. All right. So when you face a challenge as a team, choose a team leader. So it sounds like Felida's kind of taking the lead role on this portion of things.
Yeah, I was going to say either myself or the Wake of Stars, since the Wake of Stars asked for help. So it could be either of us.
Busy doing the thing, so they would appreciate that.
Yeah, then I will act as team leader, assisting you with the general thing. I will do that.
All right. So is everyone on the team pursuing the same resolution?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. That's a +1. Did we take time to prepare for this? Not really.
Not really.
So we don't get that +1. Is there anyone who distrusts another member of the team?
Not right now.
Okay. There might be some room for that with all this chaos going on, but I think we're all still in a good enough position for now that we don't get that -1. And then it sounds like I don't think everyone has a condition marked. If every person on the team has at least one condition, that's also a -1, but we're not there yet. So we're at a +1 for this roll. So.
And then I roll as the team leader?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that is. Doo-doo-doo.
So Rich, if you, I can't read my chat. If you get +2 on a roll, can you clear corruption?
Just this one. And so what I was saying was that on this specific seafoam green thumb roll, if it was a 10 instead of an 8, it would, but not normally.
Yeah. So for some of the rolls like that, you get extra bonuses if you end up with a 10+, and that's one of them. So had a 4. So things happen. It's a 6-, so as always, you're gonna mark a harmony as you're sort of like taking on that role and you're connecting with everybody, and you get to hold 1 aid. So you get a singular token to add a +1. If you do better on the roll, you can actually, everybody gets 1. And if you get even better on that, the leader gets to choose another person to get an extra token. So in this case, though, you're directly helping and you're sort of helping coordinate. So you've got that +1 that whenever somebody's rolling, you can say, hey, I'm helping, have a +1.
Okay.
And any of these you can do before or after the roll. We like to do that because it's always a bummer when you put a resource into something and then it doesn't change things. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a lovely way to handle helping. I really like that.
Yeah. But it is still a 6-. So,
Yeah.
the situation.
So, the chaos, the loud, the shouting, the ruckus that you all heard, it starts to get louder and it starts to get closer to all of you until there is a school of bottom feeder fish that are in the biggest, roundest, most condensed ball of just fish fighting. And they're all angry. You stepped on my fin. That was my tail. You ate my sandwich. Get out of here. And it's just chaos. They're all fighting and they're destroying things as they pass them. DJ Dr. Croctopus, there was a wonderful, I want to say a fountain, but why would waterfolk have fountain?
Actually, interesting thing. So there are underwater lakes that are formed from so heavy minerals and things that come up out of vents and stuff actually make denser parts of the water. So like if you've ever made like a cool cocktail with the different colors that float above each other, it's because of the different densities, right? So in the ocean, there are actually these super dense lakes at the bottom of the ocean, and all the stuff that's in them is so toxic that stuff can't grow in them. So like things don't actually decompose. And so anything that dies and falls into them then becomes food for things that live near them. And there are these eels that will actually like dive into it to get those things, those corpses. But if they don't come out soon enough, it starts messing with their nervous systems and they'll like spasm and die. It's intense. The real ocean is intense.
Thanks, I
but
hate
that is
it.
all to say that an underwater fountain could actually be a thing. So
okay, so they're crashing. Like this place was beautiful, despite being the area of the bottom feeders. It was bumping before. It was vibrant. It was full of life. It was the busiest part of your little community metropolis. Except now, it's like they've all gathered into this horrible, chaotic sphere, and they're bumping into everything, knocking into stuff, and Felida. They crash right into you and absorb you inside of that horrible fish fight club.
Oh boy.
Lou is going to stride forward. Is it possible to essentially grapple this ball of fish as a unit because they're all so densely packed?
I think so.
Okay, I'm going to
how
use
many mouth tentacles do you have? Who even knows, right? I mean,
well, he's using his arms, but of course he's quite malleable and mutable, so he can, and his wings could envelop them as well.
That would help for sure.
Get him.
So he's going to use a playbook move 1-to-1.
Ooh, tell me about that.
When I grapple with an opponent, I ask if they yield. If they do, roll roll plus calm. So I believe my calm is +2. If I get over 10, I'll be choosing 2 results, and on 7 to 9, I'll be choosing 1.
What happens if they don't yield?
If they do not yield, I mark corruption and harm them according to the fiction.
Yep.
These bottom feeders, they are not in their right senses. They've never been this violent. Their hobbies are eating slime and hanging out, you know? And this is chaotic. It's discordant. They're screaming. There's so much frustration that you can feel off of them, and not a single one of them complies.
Well, then Lou basically brings his hands together very rapidly. There's a shockwave that essentially scatters them all apart and gets them off of Felida.
Felida, I do still need you to mark a condition for that 6.
Okay.
You can decide and let me know how it affects you, especially after just being like, my poor audio, especially after being clapped out of this fish fight club by Lou.
Okay, so what happens when I mark a condition? Like, is it just
A negative effect to one of
So-
your
It's a
good
negative.
effects.
Yeah, it's a -2 to rolls with the associated stat,
Okay.
and it's also a role-playing cue of like, if you're angry, you should probably play like you're angry, etc.
Okay? And then do I get to pick any condition?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna feel okay. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah. I like this. I'm marking the isolated condition because as they pull me in, all I can hear is they're arguing. I can't even hear you all in the sanctuary with the echo. It's just them, and it's just loud, and it's discordant, and it's terrible, and it's like, and as they are all clapped away from me, I think accidentally assisting, my tentacles just kind of go haywire and maybe sting a couple of them.
Oh yeah.
Now, question. So now I'm up to 2 corruption. I'm just looking for the corruption track. When do I fill?
At 5.
At 5. Okay, so I'm currently on 2 corruption.
I
There's
mean,
the glow from the red glow from his eyes grows a little more intense.
Amazing.
I think this is the first time I notice it because my eyes are real bad. Like,
there is...
maybe,
Go ahead.
maybe say something like, "We are concerned."
Lou doesn't seem to clock that. Lou is just watching the fleeing fish as they tumble away.
And you do notice that they all go down. They don't go back to their little hovel homes. They all swim down.
I was just about to say that DJ Dr. Croctopus, seeing that things are being taken care of and getting worse, was going to try and follow them and sort of look into the echo to see if there was anything he could determine, and trigger, in fact, the seek to understand, where you seek to understand the world around you or an inhabitant within it, and to describe the sense, expertise, or power used to interact with the environment. So I think he's listening for the silence or the whatever is replacing the song that is speaking to these fish, because he thinks there must be something driving them. So that's a roll plus community, which for myself is +1. And that's an 8. So for the move there on a 7+, you may ask a specific question about the subject, or allow the guide to reveal a truth about it. I think I'd like to ask, what is driving them, or what are they going towards?
Fear has been driving them together, but what they are going towards is their idea of peace and sanctuary. They are heading towards what they feel is right.
Ooh.
So DJ Dr. Croctopus is going to basically yell to the others through their connection, "This way, they're going this way. Something's drawing them here." And sort of shoot down into the, like, I guess it's not really a sewer system, but like there's all these coral things that are surrounding this big sculpture, right? And within that there's, like, you know, complex canyons essentially, of things that have grown over, and so it is sort of like almost tunnels in the coral. And he disappears down one of them after the bait fish.
Lou will continue after and sort of help Felida up. I assume that Felida was sort of knocked prone, but having seen the stinging of those tentacles, Lou leans in and goes,
You acquitted yourself well.
So I am offering earnest praise. So if that is accepted, if that praise is accepted, you can clear your condition.
Ooh.
That is a team move.
Very cool. I will accept it. She feels a little guilty for stinging them, but she will accept that praise.
I'm just going to interject and say one of the things I love about this game is that if you want to play the cleric in Descent into Midnight, you just say nice things to people.
Right.
My kind of
But
game.
yeah, she's this awkward ball of her tentacles are so askew, like you can see the mouth under the bell that's just like she's just all over the place. So like as she's like righting herself and smoothing her tentacles down and belling out and in, she's like, "Thank you." And she kind of like motions approximately 17 tentacles to follow DJ Dr. Croctopus.
Approximately.
The Wake of Stars will notice Felida moving these tentacles towards DJ Dr. Croctopus, and seeing that they are now righted, they will not go to heal them like they had expected, and move downwards, upside down, into the hole.
Felida will actually extend approximately 8 tentacles toward you to grab onto so that you can move a little faster.
And what do it taste like?
Oh,
I love that.
Because I can't see, so...
Of course. They taste like cotton candy.
Oh, sweet.
Much better than black licorice.
I would say much of the population would agree with you, yeah.
I don't agree with you, but okay. I accept this.
Now this tastes bad. All right. For the sake of expediency, I think you all travel down this, and I wish I knew more water words. What's it like when you've got like really fast water currents that like pull you down?
Oh,
A siphon?
yeah.
Riptides?
Riptides, maybe? That sounds like a word I know.
Any of those, yeah.
All of the above. There is a very fast stream that is pulling you all down, 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 and you can feel whatever warmth you all possessed leach out of your bodies, and you are pulled down where you can start to feel the pressure press up against you until DJ Dr. Croctopus, there is but one bait fish that has led you down here, and all the light has been sucked out of the water. There is nothing left but darkness, and you meet this little fish's eyes for a second, and with the side of its head it looks at you. "Our mother is down here," they say, "but she has not been well." And then they dart away. Now, when the rest of you reach DJ Dr. Croctopus, I'm never gonna get that right. It's not just the leaching cold or the leaching warmth. It's not just the lack of any sense of glowing. It's not just the pressure that you feel pressing on your tentacles, on your little biomes, on all parts of you, even if they're not very tangible. What impresses upon you the most when you all look down is below you is not deeper, darker depths like you would imagine, but instead there are pinpricks of bright lights that are blinking and fading away like stars on the seabed. But who would be? Maybe the wake of stars. You feel so much more than everybody else. You can sense things in the echo the way others can't. And the mass beneath you is a space whale. A psionic space whale who has sung their song for eternity. But their stars are blinking and fading away. There is not much time left for them before they pass on. What would you all like to do?
So, I would like to figure out if the space whale is, I guess, dying of natural causes?
I think, just for the sake of expediency, if I can take a little bit of agency over your character, I just want you to reach out and you touch whatever you discern as whale, and you feel a sickness. You feel a darkness that tastes a lot like dark licorice. And it is sapping the life out of this space whale.
I think I would like to try to psionically communicate this to my group with a horrifying sense of sadness and dread and a desire to nurture.
TJ, Dr. Croctopus, I think, is actually going to back away. I think that he's frightened that he didn't know that this was the source of the sound. He feels like he should have been able to see that, right? To know that, living here his entire life. And he's seeing in himself some of the corruption and the madness that's seeping in from Lou, and to be confronted with the source of what he believes is the source of his creativity and the source of his sense of self being corrupted like this is too much for him, and I think he backs away.
Lou keeps moving forward and then turns to face his friends.
This must not be. I am responsible for this, I fear. I shall make what amends I can.
Lou strides forward and places his hands on the whale and tries to draw the madness from it and into him.
Ooh.
Can I help?
You have y'all have +1s to give. Let me know how you apply that, and please help this poor thing.
Yeah, so I'd say that the Wake of Stars feels incredibly guilty about that test tube that they let slip into this place because it's somewhat like their garden. And so they kind of feel that they are also personally responsible, and so they will assist Lou by, I think, coating their shoulders in a type of algae that makes it so that they can concentrate.
Well, because is the space whale something that is part of this physical reality, to where because Lou is sort of this other substance having an anchor, like a physical anchor to this reality, might help focus, maybe?
I like that, yeah. I mean, this poor whale touches a lot of realities. Let's be real. Felida, how would you like to help Lou?
I would like to use my playbook move, Paragon of My Kind. Whatever awakened me removed the barrier between my instincts and intellect. I blend a cognitive understanding of my strengths and weaknesses with intuitive speed and clarity. So I feel like, especially the connection to Lou that we have had in the sanctuary, I have understanding than I thought I did of the nature of his being. So I would like to do something wondrous, which may not seem super wondrous, but I care about Lou very much, and I would like to try to take some of this corruption into myself as well.
Mechanically, what that moves let you do is if you happen to roll a 6- on a do something wondrous, you can resist corruption to treat it as a 10+, and in this case, if that doing something wondrous is taking on some of that corruption, I mean, that sounds like something you just do.
Right?
Yeah. So I will take a point of corruption to lessen the effect of this on Lou.
Amazing. And you've got that +1 aid, right? And so mechanically, you're operating at a +2 to whatever you happen to do.
What stat do you think I'm using for this? Would this be drive or hope or?
This feels like hope.
I love the idea that it's hope.
Yeah, we have.
Maybe altruism?
I mean, really, any of them work. We did originally in older versions of the game have a move that was sort of a generic, like use any stat, just kind of based on what works. And this feels like this is the perfect situation for that. So yeah.
You
Okay,
tell us.
so this will be 2d6 +2 plus what?
I'll give you my 8.
So plus another 2.
Okay, so +4 total then.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how this does. And sorry, did we establish what stat we're gonna go off of?
You tell us.
Yeah, you tell us which.
I think hope, because at least I get a +1 in that. So this will be a total of +5. Yes.
Sounds like it, yep.
Okey-doke. That is 10, 15.
That's so good. What does this look like? What does it feel? Like, are you trying to siphon the corruption? Are you sending it away? What? Regardless of what you do see the blinking stars of this whale come back on, but what does it do to you?
Lou is siphoning it all into himself. He's trying, and he's actually probably trying to, even though Felida is trying to aid him by drawing some of it off, he's trying to shield her as well. So it's all going into Lou. Now you see the eyes begin to glow, his tentacles are writhing, and as he turns back to you, though, his eyes are white once more. And he says,
My time here is done, I fear. I shall endeavor to remember you all. Ridie calls.
and Lou just starts warping and folding in on himself, and DJ Dr. Croctopus has seen this before. This is sort of how he arrived in this realm.
And I think he had moved to the outskirts of this chamber, right? And was essentially running away. And when he sees that, he shoots back over and he moves towards nothing. When he gets there is the moment you have disappeared back into the echo, back into wherever you came from.
And as Lou folds into himself, you see a small, tiny blob of his matter, like sort of remains as the sort of portal snaps shut. And it is just a blob at first, but as you approach, it resolves itself into a very, very tiny version of Lou that is sort of like a bright pink color.
Would you say it is Felida's coral color?
Yes, I would say that. Yes, as a matter of fact. And it sort of blinks its eyes at you. Its eyes are pure white. And it doesn't seem to recognize you per se. Like, it doesn't seem to have Lou's memories or whatnot. In fact, it seems like it's a complete blank slate, like a newborn.
Can we, like, if everyone is okay with it, like, the thing that immediately popped into my head is that maybe it's got some little blue rings on it and a portion of it that's clear with something.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think that is, in fact, the case. That is the case.
Okay. Oh.
We will end this out on your sanctuary. This was a place that was filled with turbulence and darkness. There were shadowy shapes and eyes that would constantly watch you from the darkness. There was silence and there was emptiness. But now, you can feel the calm. With Lou by your side, with the wake of stars, Felida and Dr. DJ Croctopus. This sanctuary now feels vast. The crystals that were crafted that represent Dr. Croctopus are filled with light, a bright white light. There is a kelp forest that surrounds you, and it just feels wonderful. It feels safe, and it feels like family. And that is Descent into Midnight.
Oh, this is so good.
At the end of every game, we always like to say, "Welcome to Midnight," because welcome to the experience that was this strange and, we hope, wonderful game.
Wow, so good.
Oh, heck. This is the first time I've run a sad version of this game. I don't know what happened, so I'm sorry.
No. Listen. Literally one of the experiences that I will never forget was a Sunday morning at Gen Con. Big cons like that, they wring you out emotionally, right? It's a lot. We sat in this space. It was echoey. There were people all around. It was a terrible space to have like a really like intimate game. And we got like 2 hours in, and we were bawling because like we had created this beautiful setting. It was like whales with funerary rites, and they came to this crystal to sing into it with their last memories. And one of the characters had a specimen that was the last of its kind that hatched and had a bit of corruption in it and was coming to interrupt the ceremony, and the whale didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of their pod sang their song for them into the crystal to be remembered. And it was like, right? Like, yeah. So, and then on the other hand, you have the SpongeBob games, which we've had.
I've run those. 2 of those I played with you.
Which are lovely, right? But yeah, it's a versatile system, but it really gets into just, you saw it in action of asking, how does your character feel? How does this affect you? And it tends to move things in a direction that gets a little serious, which we love. But yeah.
Absolutely. So I hope this was enough to give people a good demonstration of what the playbooks offer, how sad you can feel. There are moments of hope, like when the Redeemed was able to give you said something nice, and that made them feel better, and you cured their stats. Like, I love that. This is a wonderful game with a lot of options, and y'all should probably check it out. But until then, I have been your host, B Zelda. You can find me on Twitter as @B_Zelda, add an extra underscore if you want to follow me on Instagram. I'm a podcaster, I'm a streamer. I do stuff, I hang out, casual stuff. Yeah, Rich, why don't you tell us about who you are, where we can find you?
Yep. I am Richard Kreutz-Landry. Pronouns are he, him. You can find me at r_Kreutz-Landry on Twitter. If you Google Kreutz-Landry, I'm literally one of 2 people on the planet with that last name. I am a game designer and a software engineer, and I occasionally do some origami.
I love that.
Right? LaTia.
Hi, everybody. I'm LaTia Jaquise, pronoun she, her. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at LaTia Jaquise, all one word. I have been your lion's mane jellyfish, Felida Nadaria, and you can follow my exploits on Twitter. I have roller skates coming, and if you'd like to see the adventures of an awkward baby duck on wheels.
Like the ones with 4 wheels?
Yeah, quad skates.
So cool. How do you keep getting cooler to me, LaTia? Like, you're already up here, just like, I don't get it.
This has been absolutely amazing. It's been wonderful playing with you all. I don't know, every time this is my first time sitting at the table with Carnelian and Richard, but every time I sit at the table with you, Mark and you, B, it's always a good time.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to Carnelian King. Where can we find you? What do you do? How do we support you?
Well, I suppose you can find me on Twitter. My username is mischief_nerd. To be honest, this was my first time playing as a player. I guess I've streamed twice as a DM for a module that I wrote called the Shop of Lost Streams.
Very good.
But yeah, I mostly do, I guess I DM'd, I think, 175 games on Roll20 for the staff last year, but...
175?
Yeah, like 175. Like I guess I do 6 or 7 a week, so it's a lot. But a delight. But I guess
I have so many questions about you now. Like, are you actually just like a superhero who never has to sleep?
Well, it's 2 a.m. so I don't know if that proves anything. But thank you. I wasn't expecting this to be as meaningful as it was, and I was like, I really appreciated, like, I put a lot of thought and research into my character, and you all kind of like everybody here at the table gave that back like 100%. So thank you.
It's what makes every game work. I mean,
Right.
it's so cool to see people really engage, and you know, PBTA is really good at taking players who are giving to each other and are setting each other up for success and letting them do that and getting out of the way. So
this was my first PBTA game.
No, you're lying.
No, this is my first PBTA game.
What?
Yeah.
Dang.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. How about you, Mark? Where can we find you, and have you played other PBTA games?
Well, let's see. You can find me on Twitter at Mark_Meer. I'm on Instagram at Mr. Mark Meer. Of course, I'm on Stitch of Fate, a podcast by night, and I'm available on Cameo for all your Mass Effect catchphrase-related needs.
I feel like I have a lot of friends who are so into Mass Effect, and they would be dead for that. Like, that would absolutely make their day. So I'm gonna
Oh well, you know that's that. Cameo can make that happen. And for those who haven't played Mass Effect, of course, the Legendary Edition is coming out in short order. I don't know if a release date has been mentioned, but
that's me.
Relatively soon.
No, that's me. I'm actually looking forward to it so that I can finally join the Mass Effect universe.
Same! I've never played them, and I feel so left out.
We would be delighted to welcome you aboard. Aboard the Normandy.
I did get all 3 of them on the same actual like system so that I can do the character who like has the choices that actually go through all 3 of the games, because I missed that the first run through. So I'm stoked.
I take it. All right, well, thank you everybody for this. Thank you for hanging out in chat for this wonderful episode of Indie Showcase, playing Descent into Midnight. Have a great night, everyone.